Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Lonesome Cowboy Podcast. And today I have Mr. Mike Haggith. Um, yeah, he's a full-time musician. Yeah, guess what else? He's a full-time pilot, commercial pilot. And he is also the man who runs the label that I have the honor of being affiliated with Morningstar Records. Mike Haggith, say hi to everybody.
Hey everybody, how's it going? My name's Mike Haggith, and I'm really just excited to be here. So thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem, man.
Yeah.
So Mike, you have a DIY career in music, and that's the focus of what we got on the go here. But you've taken it, and I really want to talk about Morningstar, because it's to me the greatest thing going. Um, and you, tell me how that came about, because what you've done is really, really positive for musicians. And so go ahead, and I'll give you the floor on that.
Oh yeah, thank you. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I'm the founder of a very, very small micro label called Morningstar Records. We launched in 2023, and basically it was founded under the premise that everybody can record themselves. So, back in the day, if you had a bunch of songs, you'd have to go find a record label, sign the deal, sign your life away. They would give you the money, find you the studio, the producer, and all that. And then you go make the record, and then they would distribute it. And if it flopped, you were broke. And if it was successful, you were broke. And that was, that was pretty well it, right?
Yeah, that's
Um,
it.
yeah, right. So, um, the idea for something like this probably started all the way back in about 2016. I was living in Sault Ste. Marie, and I was the front man of a band called The Din. We're a three-piece kind of power pop outfit. Um, I was the lead singer and bassist, and we were shopping around, kind of looking for somewhere to record our second album because we had done our first one in house, and we were really happy with it. But we wanted to see what else was out there, and there was a record label in Sault Ste. Marie, and we were courted and invited to sign on the dotted line to record album number two. And once we got a look at the contract and really went through it. It was a standard small deal, 12-page contract. You'd think something like that would be really easy to digest, but it really wasn't, just based
Wow.
on the clauses that were in it. Basically, if we had to sign that, the rights to my voice right now, speaking to you, would be owned by this. We'll leave it as an unnamed record label. Um,
I'm
and
grinning because I know who they are.
yeah, for sure. And and like run by nice enough folks, and they do good enough work. And you know, I I know the guy who runs it, and he never would have been like that, but I still could not legally give the authority to do so, right?
Great.
It could have turned really disastrous really quickly. So I basically just thought, like, man, wouldn't it be great, if we could just record the thing on our own, because we know how to do that, and then just find somebody who could just make it available on CD and vinyl, and like, we could sell it online, we could order in some bulk copies, we could do whatever we wanted. But basically a record contract minus the record label almost.
Hmm.
So this was kind of the seed that was planted in my head. So many, many years later, I found an on-demand CD and vinyl factory. And from that, when I launched my website, mikehaggith.com, I made a little web store to sell my albums, and I uploaded the templates to this factory. So basically, whenever somebody bought a CD or an LP, I could just take the info, fulfill it on the back end with the factory. They'd ship it right out to the customer, and I'd keep the difference. And then I'd been talking to a few different fellow creators, mostly them in the YouTube sphere that I'm kind of involved in, and a few of them were like, Mike, like, this is really cool. What if you did this for other people as well? And I kind of got that flashback to me in my mid 20s in 2016, going, oh my God, wouldn't it be cool if somebody did this? And so I thought, well, I think I might be able to. So hence Morning Star Records, named after my song Morning Star, which I kind of consider to be one of my best and certainly one of my proudest.
Mhm.
So basically, what we do now is we affiliate artists. We don't sign them by just affiliating them. It's kind of a loose thing, but it's in writing, like a messenger chat, literally anything. Just so we have something in writing saying yes, they have agreed to affiliate with us.
Right.
Once we have that, then like I go ahead and I create them an artist page on the website. I'll get streaming links and embed a music player into the website. Publish their updates on the site as well through like blog posts and things like that. And then we also take their recorded material, give them a hand with mastering if they need it, get it all prepped for CD and vinyl, go through all the artwork specs, and then we put it all together, upload it to the Morningstar Records web store where people can then buy it. And of the profits from every album sold, 80% of that goes directly back to the artist. So I think it's a really fair way to do it. It doesn't cost the artists anything. There are no strings attached. I don't own their property. Um, yeah, so it's kind of been a thing that had been on my mind for a long time, and
Hmm.
I'm so glad we got to do it finally.
Well, as being a part of it, I can tell you, and I don't do it enough, but having something, and I put your logo really big on my records.
Yeah,
I just
I was
noticed
gonna
that
say.
when you sent me
I,
the.
I was gonna say I've got a vinyl copy of your album, The Neighborhood, and it's like I'm right
Yeah,
in there. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah. I know.
man, this
Yeah,
guy
I
is
know.
proud.
Yeah,
I love it,
I
man. I
know.
love
I
it.
know. I know. It felt kind of silly after the fact, but I went, well, I'm sure Mike doesn't care.
No, no, it's great too because we've also got your logo down there, and
That's
then
true.
that
Yeah.
like honestly, it's kind of cool. It's like symbolizes the partnership there.
There
Yeah,
you go. Yeah, pretty much. Eh? So it has become a great tool to legitimize, because we still have to legitimize ourselves in this world, and legitimize what we're doing because we can say, yeah, we have a label, you know,
yeah.
and in my opinion, I think it makes a difference.
I think so too. And the fact that you're not technically signed, you're affiliated with, you're hosted by, you're powered by, you're supported by, but you're not bound by. Um, there are some opportunities out there where, they might be only looking for artists on a label. And then you can
Hmm.
say, here you go to morningstarrecords.com, boom, artist, there I am.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah,
But there are other places that say we're looking for specifically non or like unsigned artists, is what they say.
yes.
But the fact that you're affiliated, you're not signed, because a lot of times I think when they say unsigned, it's because of a rights issue
Mm,
where, they're platforming an artist and having the artist perform, and they don't want to get tied up with the legality of like EMI or Universal saying,
yeah.
hey, that payout that you're giving to them, actually, you got to go through eight middle people and becomes a whole thing. So, the fact that you're just affiliated, you're unsigned, it I think it kind of allows artists to maybe not double dip, but maybe enjoy the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, like I said, I get excited when somebody comes up with a really cool idea and it's one that I can be a part of. And I know I'm all probably terrorizing you and bugging you going, "Hey Mike, you should make playlists of all this." Or, "Hey Mike, maybe we should do a show with a lot of artists from Morningstar." And he's probably
I
like the one,
I
"Stop it. Get out of
I
here."
love it. I love it because like, there's like the other kind of idea behind Morningstar Records is building a collective, right? And that there's
Hmm.
strength in numbers and that there, can be more ideas in the room. I'm just one guy with one brain that's wired a very highly specific way. So it's great when I'm able to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to ask some other people what they think. Hey, what would you like to see? Or every now and then somebody will come to me with a great idea, and it's like, oh yeah, all of our artists have stuff on YouTube. I could totally put together a playlist. Like, I think that's great, honestly.
Hmm. Well, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I said, I just get excited and that's what happens. And I got to tell you, folks, Mike, I have busted his balls just because my old man nish kind of pushes back. But I decided that Mike is a pilot, and Mike is a pilot for a reason. Mike makes methodical decisions, calculations that he does every day when he's on a plane and flies safely. I think I can trust him when he says, "Do this," and I'll just say, "Yes."
Man, I lick the window and I hit buttons on the autopilot. That's all
Yeah,
I
there you
do.
go.
That's the decision I make every day.
There you go. Exactly. And if you haven't subscribed to Mike's newsletter, by the way, please do because he's going to draw you parallels between the world of flying and the world of music, and it's actually a really beautiful thing.
Oh,
And
I
they can
appreciate
go.
that.
Yeah, no, it is. I like I said, I read your newsletters and you turn them out so often with such great topics, and here I do mine like once every 3 months because I finally come up with something.
Well, I mean it's different with you because like you're doing a newsletter, right? So like when there's news, we send out the newsletter.
True.
Um, like this sort of campaign that I'm running is a little bit different because it's a whole series of emails. So you can start the kind of program whenever. It's called the frequent flyer program.
Hmm.
And it basically just starts you off in the chain. So you get one a day for a couple of days, and then every two, then three, then four, and then it settles into once a week. And then we start to, unlock pretty cool things. Like I teach you literally how to land a jet airliner, like a
He
whole
did too.
on flight lesson. Yeah.
Yes, yes, he did.
We go through movies, music, albums, songs. There's an album called Frequent Flyer that you can only get through there.
That's true.
It'll probably after I've built the entire thing because I'm only a few steps ahead of the class,
Hmm.
pulling the curtain out from behind me. Um, Once it's all put together, it'll probably just be available to purchase online, but it won't be like on Spotify or anything like that. Like if
Sure.
you want it, and you want it for free, you have to do it through the frequent flyer program,
That's cool.
where we just unlock it one thing at a time. Yeah. So yeah, it's more of a campaign that you can start anytime, and you just get to learn all about me, and I always love it when people reply and share their stories. It's just a cool way to connect with people.
But and Mike, I want you to share your philosophy with the newsletter because it made a difference in my newsletter, and that's why I don't put them out as often because I want to have something good and compelling, and it has worked for me. What your method has worked for me because I've actually got replies from people going, "Man, that was really something. Man, I felt that," or something like that. Not a lot of replies, but so tell the folks about that because I think it's something that could probably save all the musicians' newsletters from now on in.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of learned the format for this from a good buddy of mine and a fellow musician who lives just up the freeway from me, actually. And his name is Nick Howell. And he actually self-published a book, I'd say now maybe about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, that basically kind of like talks musicians through, how to build sales funnels.
Hmm.
And basically, like the idea is you make a really compelling like Facebook ad or something like that to draw people in with an offer, and then they sign up for a newsletter. And in his whole setup, there's a chain of about 4 emails that go out once a day. Um, and by the end of it you've kind of given this new person like your philosophy, your hero origin story. You've made them think a little bit, you've shared some experiences, and by the end of it hopefully they're kind of on the ride with you, and then you invite them to like your next live stream to watch, or it might direct them to like a page where they can buy a CD or something to support you. So I kind of read through all that, and I initially set up to do that, a 4 day little mini campaign that I could do. And then
Hmm.
once I started doing it, I fell in love with it. Like the format that he kind of teaches, it's always like you start off with a question, You start off with a question or something that you want to share. So you just kind of get the other person thinking a little bit, so that rather than just saying, let me tell you about the time I almost died in a plane crash. Like, hey, sure, that's
That,
probably compelling. That's
yeah,
the, like
yeah.
I'm throwing a 90-mile-an-hour fastball there. You're probably going to open your eyes.
But that was
But
in the newsletter, folks, by the way. Yes.
yeah, but if I started that off with something like, can you remember a time when you were more uh, scared or more aware of your place in the world or more aware of your mortality than you had ever been? Or can you think back to a moment that changed your life and outlook? Now you've got somebody on the other end thinking about that. So
Hmm.
then you tell your story and they're kind of relating it to their experience too. So it just kind of like, really humanizes you. And then you can still do the tie into the music.
Hmm.
Um, or maybe you don't. Maybe you don't that week. And you save that for another week, right?
Yeah, good
Maybe
point.
this is just about like building a relationship. Not
Yeah.
everything has to be a sales funnel, or some some sort of thing like that, right? So
Sure. Sure.
it's really just about, sharing experiences so that people get to learn more about you, and then maybe you get to learn more about people, and you just kind of get to connect with them. And the more you do that, and the more feedback you get too, you start to see, well, what do the people who like me like to see and hear? And then you can kind of start to tailor little things based on that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Um, Now the big thing, of course, in the music business in the 21st century is, of course, our streaming situation and stuff like that. But Mike, I notice you don't really get into it with anyone. And I also notice you really don't push like everybody says, pre-save this album and go do that or whatever the case may be. And I notice you're not so much pushing them towards those services, but you're pushing them to within your own system.
Yeah, a little bit. So I think the idea there is, you know, if I'm constantly saying, "Hey, go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that," people tune you out, right? People don't people don't like being sold things. They don't like being told things. They don't like being forced into things. They don't like being made to feel as though their only purpose is to do this thing for you. So I kind of want people to sort of arrive at that conclusion on their own if they feel so inclined. And a lot of people who like me don't like my music. And so me trying to push them to do things, well, that's just wasting everybody's time and effort, right? But then
Hmm.
there are other people who really like my stuff, who would probably, you know, because even artists that I love, I would get turned off if the only time I ever saw them on social media was, hey, go do this, hey, go do that, hey, go do this, hey, go do that, hey, do this, do that, watch this, save that. Like it feels like a freaking job, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would much rather just, bring people into my life,
Yeah.
bring people into my story. I want, them to become a frequent flyer, not so that they go buy my albums or whatever else. In fact, the longer you're a frequent flyer, the more discounts you get on that and the less money I make. Um, but I want people to become frequent flyers and I want them to follow on social media, not just to pump up the numbers. Cool, that's great. It looks nice, it's showy, but I want people to learn about me. I want them to know who I am. I want them to know why I do this, what I stand for. And if they believe in the same thing or they like what I have to say, great. Be as much of a part of this as you want to be. If you don't, if you think I'm a deranged leftist idiot, if you think I'm, if you think I make music that you don't enjoy or whatever, then you're free to leave. And I'm never gonna, force you to do anything. You can always hit the unsubscribe. You can always hit the unfollow. I just
Yeah.
want people to know as much about me as I can possibly willingly share. Um, And then if they like it and they like me and they like what I do, then I think, they're gonna just like a part of your brain is going to be like, oh, I feel like listening to music today. Oh, I like Mike. Maybe I'll see if he's got something new. Or I've got his album. I really like that. I haven't listened to it in a while. Maybe I will. Um, so I mean, my Spotify numbers and all that are not very good.
Are we all below
Because
the
I, right. Well,
we're still below the threshold that they'll actually give us any money?
yeah, that's right. But um, my philosophy there is, my music is there and readily available for anybody who wants it, um, who wants to listen to it. Um, Trying to monetize the music itself is a bigger struggle now than it ever has been before. Which is kind of one of the reasons why Morningstar Records, we may not sell a whole lot, but usually when we do, it's an artist who has just put out an album that people have been waiting for a long time. And so, sure, you can get it on Bandcamp, you can hear it on Spotify, you can see it on YouTube, whatever, but they are going to buy a CD or an LP because they're buying merchandise, right?
Yeah,
And
that's
because
awesome.
that merchandise is now a physical thing they can interact with and they know it's supporting the artist too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, Mike, majority of your shows, I mean, you've come actually back to Sault Ste. Marie to play that. Is there any plans to start putting Mike Haggith shows in the other part of the 705 area?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I would really like to expand. I keep coming back to Sault Ste. Marie because, that's just where a lot of my following is.
Yeah.
And I feel like you always need to, water the grass in front of your own house, like I could, I could probably be playing a lot more in other places, and that is something I want to do. But I feel like, I've got a lot of friends and a lot of fans in Sault Ste. Marie, and I want to make sure that they're looked after.
Nice.
So that's where my backing band is as well.
Yeah.
Um, like my best friends. So I love getting back there. Um, but they have indicated they're willing to travel.
Ah,
And if I manage to get that travel guitar I keep talking about, then I would like to start taking that on the road with me when I go flying and then start playing solo shows in little cafes and stuff on my layovers.
nice.
Nice poor man's touring, I suppose.
Well, you're using
So,
a plane, Mike. That's actually way above what every other musician is
yeah,
doing.
yeah. And I'm flying my own tour jet, right?
Yeah, no kidding, you are.
I just don't get to make my own schedule and I'm subject to reassignment at any given time. So, yeah,
Yeah.
not really in control of my own destiny
Yeah,
there, but
can't really sell tickets because I don't know if I'll even be there.
no, and that would kind of be the thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. Mike, that's the other thing that's going around amongst the musicians is the fact that the numbers when it comes to live shows are just not there. Um, let me ask you, I've asked everyone that, and it's kind of a couple of different ways to answer it. Why didn't the audiences come back after COVID? And two, have you noticed your audiences prior COVID, pre-COVID, or after COVID being different?
Um, yeah. So the first part of that question is super super interesting, um, because from what I could see, after COVID, the audiences did come back, and that might be contrary to what a lot of people saw. But I think we kind of got a real post-COVID surge where everybody finally wasn't locked down, finally got to go out and
Hmm.
do all the things that they had been talking about for years. But it's a double-edged sword because, we were locked down for COVID for what, 18 months?
Yeah,
Better part of 2 years
yeah,
almost, right?
yeah.
So I want to go to music festivals. I want to go to shows was only one of those things that everybody was saying when they were all cooped up. I want to travel the world. I want to go to more sporting events. I want to get out and meet people. I want to go clubbing. I want to go fishing. I want to go hunting. I want to go camping. All of these things, right? So I think now with the world opened back up again, I think people are living out every one of those things. And I want to go to shows was one of those things, but it wasn't the only thing, right? And it's
Mm.
hard for us sometimes to kind of wrap our head around that because we're very music centric, very music oriented people, right?
And we can't
Um,
understand why we're not the center of other people's worlds.
right. Yeah. Well, it's because they're wrong. Uh, but I think, more than ever now, we're kind of living in a world where people with the means to do so are really just kind of deciding to choose their own destiny, and it's maybe harder to find a captive audience because of that, right?
Hmm.
Um, and then on the flip side of that too, there has been a growing trend over the last, I mean, really 40 years, but that's really, really hiked up in the last five or so. And that is, income inequality and wage disparity and all these things.
Yes, yes.
So it's harder to sell tickets more than it is harder to maybe get people somewhere.
Hmm.
Um, if we decided that we wanted to put on a show at a venue that cost $3,000, and we decided we were going to try to sell 200 tickets at $20 a piece. Well, a lot of people, especially, the people who love to engage more with local arts, are typically the ones without that level of disposable income, right? It's
Right.
typically you're thinking more on a local scale. So on the contrary, if you say, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to, I might pay $200 to, put my own equipment at an outdoor venue and get a permit to play,
Hmm.
where it's free for people to attend. I mean, you might get five times the audience for that, right? And then, if the thinking, at least for me, is I'm more than willing to play for free. And I know I shouldn't say that too loud because I'm going to get tarred and feathered and shot in the dick. I get it, right? I get it. People die of exposure. I understand.
Uh-huh.
But in my world, it's no different than trying to find new fans out in the internet, right? You
Mm.
know, because I'm not even necessarily the most opposed personally to paying to play certain events, or like paying an application fee for a festival if I want it, or things like that. And I know a lot of times that that's not going to work out. And I know it sucks because a lot of really phenomenally talented people don't have that means available to them. But in my mind, if I'm going to pay TikTok $30 to, help me reach 8,000 people and hope something catches on from that, then why wouldn't I pay $20 for a festival application fee or something like that to kind of, help the curators and, be compensated for their time too.
Yeah.
But I think really the idea for me is, you know, I'll play for free if it's something that I think is going to benefit me. I'm not going to go play some freaking restaurant for free in the corner, for a bunch of people who couldn't be arsed if I'm playing or not. That's,
Yeah, exactly.
like that's stupid, right? But, I would, play a charity gig and I wouldn't charge for that, right?
Sure.
Especially if it's something I believe in, and or it's full of people who I think are really going to appreciate me. But then the work is cut out more for me because now, well, how can I make something from this, right?
True. Yeah.
Because especially if it's not just me, I've got my band as well. Well, how do I compensate them? So my goal at that point is to put on the most engaging show I can, to create the best content I can, to invest my own money in compensating the band if I have to, and take a loss. Um, but I feel like a lot of people, when they say things like the audiences haven't bounced back, people don't give a crap about the things I'm doing. I feel like a lot of times that says more about the things we're doing than the people who aren't responding to it. Because I
Mm.
could,
Good point. Good
well, yeah,
point.
and it's a bit of an unpopular point, right? But
Well, no,
sometimes
but the
it's not,
truth is hard sometimes.
yeah, sometimes it's not the world's fault that people
Yeah.
don't like me. sometimes it's my fault. You know, if I go up there and I say a bunch of, you know, garbage, like, if I go up there and I spout a bunch of stupid white supremacist crap and then everybody says, well, I'm never going to his show again, is that their fault?
No,
No,
exactly.
absolutely not, right? So, by the same token, if I go out there and I put on a show that is kind of lackluster, kind of unstructured, it's all right. I faked it, I made it. It wasn't great though. And then I don't sell any albums. Nobody comes up to me afterward. Nobody in that room ever comes to another one of my shows. Do I say, well, that audience was a dud? Those people are a bust. They suck. No, that's my fault. That's my problem. So now I have to go back and look at that game tape and say, what did I do that worked? And what would I do differently? And then
Hmm.
it's my responsibility then to do that differently the next time. So, like to round it back because I'm super long-winded. I know it's a big pain in
Yeah,
the
we're
ass.
coming down. I'm the cheap guy who didn't pay for a gajillion bucks for Zoom, so I only got 7 minutes left.
No, no, it's all good. I think like it really just comes down to personal responsibility a little bit, like and accountability. So if you want to, be the person who sells out stadiums, you better put together a show that sells out stadiums. You better get yourself in shape so you have the stamina. You better write those songs that people want to sing along with. Like, and you can do all that and still be true to yourself.
Understood. Yeah, very
Yeah.
good. Well, Mike, like I said, the clock's ticking, but now I want you to use your remaining time to tell them about your music and what you got out and where to find more about it and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
And
Yeah,
yeah.
my name is Mike. I've been recording music now for almost 20 years, and it all started right here with this cassette tape when I was 13 years old.
I remember you
This
told that story. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pioneer tape deck, single microphone, me singing and playing guitar, and I couldn't neither sing nor play guitar.
See?
Nobody gets to hear this. Um, so, but I loved the process so much that I started recording tapes whenever I could. And eventually, over the next few years, uh, I was able to, start recording digitally with the likes of Audacity and things like that. So by the time I did about my 37th album, I suppose they are albums. There's 11 songs on here, so
Yeah,
technically it's an album.
sure.
It's not a good one, but by the time I got to about number 37 or 40 or so, it's like, okay, these are starting to sound good. I'm going to put this out there.
Cool.
Um, so if you go to mikehaggith.bandcamp.com, you can hear every major or semi-major release that I have done since number 43, which is called Suspended Animation, came out in January of 2011.
Nice.
Um, Now, over the years, my solo output has kind of come and gone based on what bands I was in. So I talked a little bit about the Din at the beginning of this. I kind of put my solo career on hold during the Din and basically just wrote for that band. Um, but after the Din ended because I moved up north to go be a pilot and freeze my butt off in the middle of nowhere, I resurrected my solo career. So this is my album, If Ever Comes the Day,
Great
came
album, by
out
the way,
in
folks.
2020. I thank you. I appreciate that. This is one of those going through it and rip your heart out and just let it bleed all over the tape kind of albums. Written at the whim of just the most toxic up and down kind of relationship you could possibly imagine. Um, then in 2021, we surprise released my album Bridges.
Ah,
Um,
yes.
yeah, and Bridges was kind of special because this was the album that I actually first wrote when I moved all the way up to the middle of nowhere. I wrote this in late 2017, early 2018, and then it sat on the mixing board for about 3 years, and then we surprise launched it.
Nice.
And yeah, and then we get to what I consider my crown jewel so far.
Yeah,
There it is.
there it is.
All the best in all you do.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. Well
Um,
done on the graphics too, by the way, Mike. I was
oh, thank you.
thoughtful on the photo that you created.
Yeah, I think this was my wife's idea. That's her hand there lighting a rose on fire with a match.
Nice.
Um, Yeah, it was surprisingly difficult to light the flowers on fire.
I bet.
Um, we had to like soak them in butane and stuff because I just picked them up from the grocery store and they were still pretty wet. I didn't think that part through, but I literally grabbed the bouquet on the way to the shoot. Should have dried them out before.
Yeah, here,
Um,
let's light these green flowers on fire.
you're right. Yeah, and so this album is kind of the follow-up to If Ever Comes the Day.
Yeah.
Kind of takes you through the healing journey and everything that went on afterward. So you can find all of this and all of our fantastic artists, including the Lonesome Cowboy himself, Mr.
Hey.
Brian Tremblay. You just go to morningstarrecords.com, and then from there we've got a shop tab up in the top bar. If you click on that, it's going to take you directly to our web store, powered by Elastic Stage, who make fantastic quality CDs and vinyl out of London, UK, with very short turnaround times and fantastic prices.
Yeah, and I have to go on my website and update my links that go directly to the web store, and
Yes.
where folks can start buying that
Yeah.
stuff right off the bat. Now that we're back on track again, that's important. Mike
Yes.
Haggith, thank you so much. I'm not going to say I'm not going to do this again with you because I think there's going to be stuff you're going to be doing that I'm going to say, hey, other people should know about this kind of crazy stuff. So I might be knocking on your door again.
Well, I'll always answer for you, buddy.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, Mike. There you go. And that is game, set, match. Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
There you go. All right. And that's where I'll do my edit.
Sweet. Cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
Anyways, thanks, Mike. Like I said, I got about a minute here, but I just wanted to say I appreciate you coming on and yeah, well, we'll be chatting.
No, that's great, man. I
Yeah.
appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
I'll tag you in the things when it goes up. It'll be a little bit because right now you are interview number 17, so I got one, two, three, four, five, six people ahead of you.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah. Okay, man.
All right.
We'll see you, brother.
Yeah, you bet.
All right.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good one.
All right. Bye-bye.